Some men chase women their whole life and still get forgotten. Others barely lift a finger and get remembered forever. What separates them isn't looks, money, or charm. It's control. Not control over her, but over himself. Because whether you're on a first date or 20 years into marriage, one law never changes. The man who masters his desire becomes the one she never recovers from. Machiavelli understood this before anyone. Power belongs to the man who needs the least, but controls the most. And today, you'll see exactly how. You'll learn how to stop chasing and start pulling. How to flip the dynamic without saying a word. How to become the kind of man who doesn't just attract her, but haunts her. These 6 keys aren't tricks. They're a full transformation, a system that turns you into the exception she never saw coming. Let's begin. You don't rush to undress her. You undress her mind first, and that's what haunts her after midnight. She's lying on her bed, lights off, heart racing, not because you touched her, but because you didn't. Because you looked at her like you knew things about her body she hasn't even confessed to herself. This is how lust is born, not through friction, but through contrast. And that's the first key, becoming the man who doesn't surrender to temptation, but redirects it to take control of the entire atmosphere. Most men collapse at the first sign of seduction. A glance, a whisper, a touch, and they jump. But the man who truly dominates the game isn't reactive. He orchestrates. He knows that the deepest pleasure for a woman isn't in how fast you get her, but in how long you make her wait while building the intensity second by second. In dating, this looks like slowing the tempo on purpose. When she sends a provocative message, you don't reply right away. You let it simmer. When you meet, you don't rush to compliment her looks. You talk about the way she uses her words, the way she avoids eye contact when you get too close. You observe, you analyze, and she feels seen like never before. In a relationship, you stop giving her routine validation. You change the pattern. You don't kiss her in the kitchen when she expects it. You wait until she's vulnerable, unguarded, and then you look at her like she's the only woman left on earth. You build tension when she thinks it's gone, and you remind her why she still burns for you. Machiavelli understood that the unseen move commands the strongest reaction. And when you master contrast, doing less when others do more, you gain control of her inner world. Here's your next move. Next time she expects the typical sequence, the compliment, the touch, the response, break it. Look at her with calm dominance, but say nothing. Let the silence speak. Let her feel you could act, but don't. That gap between what she wants and what she gets, that's where the addiction begins. While other men seek approval, you remain unfazed, making her question if she's truly earned your attention. She puts on that outfit for one reason, to be desired. She leans in, her lips slightly parted, expecting your eyes to follow, but they don't. And that's when her world shifts. Because the second key is this: letting her hunger for validation while you remain anchored in control. Approval is the easiest thing to give and the quickest way to lose power. Every time you validate her too soon, you give away what should be earned. But when you delay it, when you show that your desire isn't automatic, you become unforgettable. In dating, it means you don't flinch. She shows cleavage, you stay locked on her eyes. She brags, you raise your eyebrow, say, "Interesting," and move on. She's used to men reacting, but you make her wonder if she even impressed you. In relationships, it's deeper. You don't fold to her emotional highs and lows. You don't always say yes. When she pushes, you don't resist. You redirect. You stay calm but firm. And now she's not just trying to seduce you. She's trying to earn back your focus. Machiavelli would say, power is preserved not by giving affection, but by controlling attention. So here's your strategic adjustment. Don't praise her when she expects it. Wait. Make her work for your smile, your nod, your hands. And when she finally earns it, make it subtle, precise, rare. Because the less available your attention becomes, the more she fights to capture it. You treat her bold signals like background noise, because a man who's tasted real control never responds on command. Her hands slide across the table, barely brushing yours. Her voice drops when she asks you a question. She leans in, wanting you to close the gap. That's not seduction, that's a test. And the third key is this: not just resisting it, but controlling the entire pace from the inside. You don't just ignore her games, you master the rhythm. You don't reject her touches, you let them land without reaction. You watch how she tries to control the tempo, then flip it in silence. If you're dating, this means studying her signals but never letting them dictate your actions. She places her hand near yours. You leave it there, but you don't move first. She sends a late-night message. You answer in the morning. Not to play hard to get, but to show her you're hard to move. If you're in a relationship, it means staying calm when she flirts to provoke you. You don't match her energy, you set your own. You touch her when she least expects it. You disappear when she's craving you the most. And every move you make feels earned, calculated, and magnetic. Machiavelli would remind you, he who controls the tempo controls the outcome. The man who can delay pleasure gains dominance over the entire dynamic. Your next move is this. Next time she pushes a button, don't react. Let her see that you noticed. Let her wonder why you didn't follow. And when you finally do respond, do it in your own time, with calm intensity. That single moment of control rewires her instincts more than 1,000 compliments ever could. As soon as the door closes, most men jump. But you don't. You don't pursue the climax. You build the ritual around it. Because what she remembers isn't the act, but the anticipation. She expects urgency. You pour the wine. You remove your jacket slowly. You slow down the whole scene. And in those seconds, before a single touch, her entire body reacts. Because this is the fourth key. Pleasure starts long before the body moves, and the man who controls the ritual controls her surrender. In dating, this means you guide the night like a script. You decide the locations, the tempo, the light. You don't rush to her apartment. You walk slowly, leading the energy. You don't react to her signals. You shape them. In relationships, you reinvent the rhythm. You don't repeat what worked last time. You light the candle differently. You whisper something new. You choose silence when she expects a word. And now her body craves not routine, but discovery. Machiavelli would have said, "The man who controls the frame wins before the battle begins." Here's your strategic move. Design the space, control the tempo, delay the spark, not because you lack desire, but because you know exactly when to let it explode. And when she realizes you lead every second, she stops resisting and starts craving. You don't fantasize about her. You make her fantasize about you. She lies awake wondering what you're thinking. She scrolls through her photos, wondering which one you replay in your mind. And you? You don't confirm anything. That's the fifth key. Never give her the full picture. Leave space in her imagination, and she'll fill it with obsession. In dating, it means you don't overshare. You drop hints. You show control. You never tell her what you want. You make her guess. And every unanswered glance becomes a question she needs to solve. In relationships, you keep mystery alive. You disappear to handle your business without explanation. You compliment her less, but with more weight. You never let comfort kill tension. And she's reminded, you could still walk away. And that thought alone drives her wild. Machiavelli might say, the unknown ruler governs the deepest. Here's your next step. Say less than you feel. Hold her gaze, but not her hand. Let her wonder what it means, and the less she knows, the more she'll imagine. And no man lives in her mind longer than the one she can't decode. You never compete with her pleasure. You become its only source. While other men perform, exaggerate, chase reactions, you observe, you study, you lead. That's the sixth key. You don't seduce by adding more. You seduce by creating a frequency only you can generate. In dating, this means taking your time, but always leading. You touch her when the room is still. You whisper when her mind is racing. You let your presence rearrange the entire space, and now she's tuned into your signal alone. In relationships, you change the game entirely. You don't rely on routine. You speak less, but act sharper. You don't just make love, you claim space. You don't need music. Your presence becomes the rhythm. Machiavelli believed, influence is deepest when it feels natural. Your tactical move now, slow down, not to hesitate, but to dominate. Make her adjust to your silence, your gestures, your energy. Let her chase the moment you create. And once she realizes her pleasure depends on your rhythm, she never breaks eye contact again. If you've made it this far, you've already done what 99% of men never will. You didn't just watch, you transformed. Now she'll remember the moment you held back, more than the nights others begged for her attention, because you didn't move to please. You moved to command. You didn't chase her body. You rewired her mind. You didn't ask to be wanted. You became the standard that made wanting anyone else feel cheap. Most men leave a trace. You leave a shift, a recalibration of what desire feels like when it's earned, not given. So keep walking like time adjusts to your rhythm. Keep speaking like silence is your weapon. Keep touching like presence is more intimate than skin. You don't just resist temptation, you define it. And in her story, you'll never be just a man. You'll be the exception she never gets over. This is who you are now, and nothing about the game will ever be the same. If this opened your eyes and you're serious about becoming the man who's in full control of his life, my book is now available, The Undeniable Man, Built to be Chosen. It's a strategic guide for men who want to attract, lead, and dominate in their love life and beyond. Whether you're single or in a relationship, no fluff, no tricks, just pure, powerful strategy that will set you apart from 99% of men, and that you will actually use every day. The link is in the description. And if this video spoke to you, don't just keep your thoughts in your head. Write a comment, even just a few words. It helps you remember these lessons, and it might help someone else too. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this content, and share it with someone who, in your eyes, needs it right now. Just trust your instinct. We're all trying to get clearer, more solid inside. So let's build minds that don't break.